All right, back to our composition here. Now, the next thing that I would like to show is once we have our initial mask, how we can make changes to it to better suit our needs. So I have my mask disabled in my layers panel here on the right. If I re-enable it, you can see I've got this face minus the um, I don't know, proboscis, whatever it is. And we want to see how that layers over top our image of our bear. So there it is. Now, um, what we're seeing is that it needs some adjustment. It's not aligning properly, and it's maybe needs to be flipped or rotated. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the background layer so I don't accidentally bump it or accidentally select it. So to lock a layer in Photoshop, make sure you have the proper layer selected in the layers panel, and then use this lock icon right above to make sure that it doesn't get selected. You can see how the background layer is also locked. This just makes things a little bit easier. So now we can move around our tardigrade face and attempt to align it with our image of our bear. So the first thing I want to do is flip it. I think the bear is kind of looking this way. I want to just reflect this across the vertical axis so that it's going to maybe align better with just the posture and position of the bear image. So after having it selected, I can go to image and adjustments. Nope, that's not it. Edit, transform, and we're going to go to flip horizontal. So again, that's in the edit panel. Going to the transform, it'll give you an additional drop down, and you'll end up going to flip horizontal. Now you can see how it moved across that axis and is facing the other direction. Now it's just getting closer, but it's not quite there. So we're going to then do some rotation again, similar to Illustrator, where you use the corners to make a rotation. We're going to move it about this much. Okay, starting to get closer, aligning it with the snout. We like that. But now it needs to get a little larger. So we are going to, we can drag from the corner or the side, either way, but making sure that we get our resize icon on our cursor, drag, holding Alt to drag from the middle. In Photoshop, you do not have to hold Shift to maintain aspect ratio. It does it automatically. And in fact, holding Shift is what removes the guidelines. So it's the opposite of Illustrator. It drives me crazy, but that's how it is. So now as we make this bigger, we're starting to see it. Okay, it's lining up with the head of our bear. Let's see this rotate a little bit more and nestle in here. We want to keep the ears visible, but kind of also make this head overlap. We don't want to see the bear's head this way. So that's looking pretty good. Now, after making adjustments to a layer, it's always important to push return or enter to save those changes, and now it's set to go. So if we zoom in here, okay, yeah, it's starting to line up, but still looking kind of like it's just pasted over the top, right? So how is it that we're going to make this, make a little bit more of an adjustment here. How is it that we're going to make this sort of blend in? And one of the ways you can do that is to adjust your layer mask. It's a great non-destructive way to make changes to a mask, or and when I say non-destructive, I mean it doesn't have permanent changes. It can always be reversed or turned off. And so we can then just paint normally how we would with a brush and make effects or make those changes to our layer. So selecting not the layer image, but the mask on our layer in the layers panel, we can then push B to bring up our brush icon. You can see it over here in the tools panel on the left. And when I use the brush, you can see how it makes changes to the mask. Now, what's important to note when adjusting a mask is that everything occurs, with a layer mask, everything occurs in black and white. So you'll see here the two colors auto set to black and white. If I'm using white, you can see how it is removing the image of the bear and bringing up my tardigrade from the layer above it, removing some of that mask. And if I switch, this little icon here switches the foreground and background color. If I switch to black, then I'm making changes to the mask. I'm sort of erasing the tardigrade versus erasing the bear. So it's always good practice to make sure that these are proper colors. Again, we're in RGB format, so you're going to want to adjust these three values where if this is all zeros, you're on black, and if all of these are equal to 255, then you're on all white. I don't know why it's 255, but that's the value for pure white in RGB. Okay, so again, if we want to remove some of that sort of hard outline that we have, there's a couple areas where it's just sort of looking awkward. We can go ahead and bring up our brush tool and let's make adjustments to the brush itself. At the top of the screen here, you're seeing some options come up for the brush itself. And if you click on this icon here, you see this 25 and this sort of orb shape here. If you click next to that, it brings up this way to make adjustments to your brush. Now, hardness will change sort of the feathering of the brush, whereas if it's at 100% hardness and I click, you're seeing a really hard outline around those areas where I've changed it. Now, if this hardness is at 0, you can see there's a lot more of this feathering happening. And that's kind of what we want, because we want this this to sort of blend together versus looking like it is hard, clean lines. Again, you can change size over here. Another way to change size that I really like is using the brackets, which are next to your P key on the keyboard. Tapping those one way or the other allows you to change size without going back up. Saves a little bit of time. Additionally, if you have a larger brush, the amount of feather you're going to get is larger. So if I bring my brush up this big and I start clicking, you can see how I'm removing that hard line and allowing for some blending to occur. And now when we look in, it's almost like this hair is starting to grow off of the surface of the tardigrade's head. You're really getting the sense that these two images are kind of coming together. So by doing that, and I go back to my brush tool, I'm still selecting the layer mask in my layers panel over here. I'm making sure that I'm still on the black versus the white color, changing the size, and just kind of coming in here to, again, remove some of these hard outlines, right? I want to keep some, I want to remove some, and this is where you just kind of play around. I'm just clicking, making sure to, one thing that's important is to make sure, and this is like, I don't know, kind of a trick that you learn over time, is that if you make, adjust this whole outline and you never release your mouse button, right? It's one action the whole time. Then using your undo command, it reverts everything. Versus if you do a bunch of small clicks like this, then you can push undo or Control Z and remove one mark at a time. It just allows you to be a little bit more, allows you to kind of go back one step versus going and losing a lot of work. So I can see some more kind of hard outlines down here. So I'm just kind of getting close, but not being, sort of right on top of it, feathering this a little bit to make it blend a little bit better with the image. Okay, another kind of hard outline over here. We just get close and sort of bring it in. All right, so that's starting to look now more like what we're, where, especially I think at the top here, you're seeing how these things are sort of integrating nicely. I'm going to go large again with my brush and try to pull in some more of that hair texture without going too far. Okay, so that color is coming in, which is great. I kind of want to see that on the edges over here as well. Bring in some of that hair texture. So again, we're clicking. You can see where I'm clicking, it's way outside of where the line is. And that's because the feathering that occurs on this brush extends outside of that line. So I'm clicking here, but making changes to those pixels that are far outside of that boundary. So that's something to consider or to learn as well. You know, if I were to click on top of this, then I'm getting more than I want. So it's useful to kind of start near the edge and bring it in slowly, bring it in close. So I'm just clicking, you know, kind of dotting this, rapidly clicking to bring it in. There, now we're seeing how that hair texture is coming in, and it feels a lot better, feels a lot more like, you know, these two images are integrated. It is kind of creeping me out at this point. Okay, so the reason why I put this hole in the front is because I wanted to bring back the snout of the bear. So we have sort of the face of the tardigrade, but the snout of the bear. And I think one way that we can do that is by duplicating the image of our bear and dragging that snout kind of in the similar way that we did with the tardigrade face. We're going to try to bring that back in. So I'm going to unlock my image of the bear by clicking this little lock icon right here. It is unlocked, and then I'm going to duplicate it by doing a right click and scrolling up. I can find the duplicate layer option in this contextual panel. So again, that is right click on the bear layer and then go up to duplicate layer. It'll give you some options to rename it, but we're going to just hit OK. And then now you can see we have two bears. We have bear and bear copy. Now that's excellent because if we keep, you know, if we make changes to this one remains, you know, our background is kind of going to stay there. So let's see, we have, we want to bring that snout in. So let's go ahead and mask out just the snout of the bear as a way of, you know, grabbing that to be used elsewhere. So we're going to, you know, we're going to hide our tardigrade face. And then with that hidden, we're going to make adjustments to this copy layer, which is on top of our other bear. Again, wanting to just grab sort of the snout here and really just, I think the end of it is all we're going to want. I'm going to use my selection brush tool again from my panel, my tool panel on the left here. I'm going to click in order to kind of paint that in. Okay, it's looking pretty good. We want a little bit outside the black area of the snout. A pretty circular shape is going to be important. Okay, now with that painted, we can use our direct select tool to you know, to move this around or just to produce those marching ants. Now that we have this selected, we're going to use the quick mask button on our layers panel here at the bottom again, like we did before. And now you're not seeing anything changed, but the reason for that is because we have these layers duplicated, right? If this layer is hidden below, then you'll see the mask for our snout. And I think I want this to be above the layer of the tardigrade. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this above. And so now you see that order changing. If we bring back the rest of our image, now you can kind of see how, oh, okay, we can move this around. This can kind of be wherever we need it to be. So I want this to get a little bit larger, and to get those transform controls back, I need to zoom out. You'll see that box appear. A lot of times if you have a larger image, you have to go from the edges. The mask just gives you the small amount, but the rest of those pixels still remain. So with this, with our layers reordered, we're going to make this a little bit bigger and enough to kind of fill that void, right? We're going to try to get this to the proper size so that it is going to fit. Okay. I'm liking where that's going. It's a little bit pixelated, but we're not going to worry too much about that. And And then for me to kind of blend these again, what we're going to do is select the new layer mask that we have on our bare copy layer. We're going to use our brush tool. We're going to, by pushing B, that brings up the brush. We're going to make sure that we have our black selected so that we can, kind of encroach on our layer, or on our mask rather. I'm going to reduce the size with the left bracket. And then I'm going to sort of paint this in again as a way of bringing these two together. And what I'm noticing right away is that I don't think I gave myself enough information to work with. I want this to be over top, which means I want it to, I need more room for these two to mingle. So I'm going to bring up my history panel. And this is a great tool because it shows every action I've made up to a point. It gives you 50 or so. So I can just click and you'll notice what the changes I made on the screen are reverting. So I can go back to the point where I don't want to do any of these brush tools. Okay, I'm on free transform. That's perfect. That means all those brush work I just did has been reverted. And we can start again. So we're going to increase the size of our layer, our initial mask. So to do that, I want to, again, edit my brush shape in the upper left here. I'm going to go to 100% hardness so that I can get that really firm, crisp outline. I'm going to switch from black to white as a way of, adding to my shape rather than removing from it. And I'm going to, click this in. Okay, I'm having some issue, and I think the reason is I need to adjust. Is it this? Hello? No. Okay. I'm going to bring up my brushes panel. Where's that at? Under window, go to brushes, and we're going to need to see all my options. Where are they? Okay, forget it. One of the things you can do is make your brush, I don't know, sort of changes the amount of times you see how I'm dragging and it's kind of just filling in one at a time. You can adjust the, I don't know, sort of polling rate of that. I forget where it is at the moment, but I'm just going to click and I'm going to fill this in so that it aligns with the rest of that snout. Okay, I think that's going to be a much better base point for us. So with that initial layer adjusted, now I want to subtract. Now I want to blend. So I'm going to, again, switch from white to black, and then change my hardness from 100 back to 0. And so now as I come in from the outside, I have just more pixels to work with so that blending these two things together is easier without removing more information than I want. So again, coming around, making sure that I don't go too far, maybe increasing the size of my brush for a bit to get a little bit more feather. Just rapid fire clicking around the edge to make this work. Okay. So let's see. Now we've got some color issues that I'd like to change. Our masks are looking pretty good. This is not bad. But I kind of want for the color of this tardigrade head to match the color of the bear. And the best way to do that is with an adjustment layer. So if you have your tardigrade layer selected and you see above it under this panel or in window under adjustments, that's going to give you a lot of options. And these are great for just basic photo editing stuff. But for us, if we want to change the color, this is going to be the best way to do it. So what we're going to do is a hue and saturation. So if I click on that, you can see how it added this hue and saturation layer into my layers panel. Now, so one of the things I can do there is I can change the saturation, and you're kind of seeing how things are changing. If I'm completely desaturating, it's going to black and white, except for the snout. The only thing that doesn't change is the snout, and that's because the snout appears above that adjustment layer in the layer panel. But what if I only want for this hue and saturation layer to affect the layer directly below it? The way to do that is to right click on the hue and saturation layer that you've just created and go to create clipping mask. And you'll see this little arrow icon appear next to it. And so that tells you that it's only affecting the layer right below it. Now this is great for us because it allows us to make changes just to that tardigrade color. So we're going to go to colorize and we're going to select, somewhere in here like an orange, kind of a darker orange color. And you can already see how that's coming together. You can adjust the saturation. Again, if you go all the way one way or the other, you can see the range, what you have. But I think somewhere in here, a little bit more color. Perfect. I think that's looking good. You can also change your lightness, and this will actually remove a lot of information if you go too far. So be careful with that one. But we're going to, for our purposes, leave it at 0. And I kind of like where this is at. I want to go ahead and make another adjustment to this layer. Again, I'm seeing a little bit of more work that could be done. So I'm clicking on my layer mask. I'm pressing B to bring up the brush tool. I'm reducing the size of the brush tool, and I want to focus on these little areas where we're getting some of this detail to come in. So I want to see more of that filling in, giving us just a little bit more detail. We're going to try to prioritize some of that. A little bit too far there. Again, let's go back larger, remove a little bit more information, bring out a little bit more of the tardigrade. There we are. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I like it. So yeah, now we're seeing this sort of horrifying bear face coming together. Now the last thing, well, we'll cut it there. We'll open up a new video for the last couple of tools.